Hello and welcome to Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Joining me today is Don Ludlow, who is Vice President of Small Business, Partnerships and Strategy for RBC. Thanks for joining us today, Don.
Yeah, thanks, Mario. Great to be here.
Well, RBC just put out a new survey on entrepreneurship in Canada, small business ownership, and intentions of people. What was quite interesting is that 55% thought of owning a business. And so the entrepreneurial aspirations hit a 4-year high, which seems kind of odd to me, especially in these times that people are thinking of being an entrepreneur. Can you explain some of the reasons why it might be that high?
Yeah, sure, Mario, for sure. And it may seem a bit surprising. You're right, 55% of the people we surveyed have thought about opening a business, and half of those aspiring entrepreneurs think that the pandemic has actually created opportunities for them to do so. So it's there's an element of the pandemic at play here. And I think the other really positive thing is that the vast majority of Canadians, some 85% of Canadians, are in favor of supporting or already do support local small businesses shopping locally or online. So it's actually a pretty positive view of entrepreneurship in Canada. And I'd also give a shout out to Alberta, where Alberta is 62%, 7% above the national average, and quite strong in this measure as well.
Any thoughts on why in Alberta it's so strong?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we didn't get anything in the data that specifically told us why. I think what really came out was, where there's challenges, there's also opportunities. So you'd certainly say that Alberta has had its challenges over the years, and like all the other provinces in the pandemic. I think our lives have been very upended in the pandemic, and been troubling. But it also gives everyone a chance to pause and reflect, and maybe think about what's after. And maybe part of that is pursuing dreams they've had of business ownership. So I think that's it. For sure, there's probably an element of the vaccines gaining momentum. The survey was done in late April. So the vaccine campaigns were picking up steam then, and perhaps everyone was feeling just a little bit better about the future as well.
I wanted to ask you, you talked about supporting local. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Obviously a lot of people, for small businesses, no matter what they've been, whether a retailer or a restaurant owner, it's been a tough 12 months plus. For many of them shut down businesses. Many of them are in debt for, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so in that environment, you would think, that, this is not, being a small business owner is not a great thing. However, as you mentioned, there is a trend that has been created for the pandemic to support local, and that may spur people on, right, to become entrepreneurs. Why do you think that trend will continue? The things that we started doing during the pandemic and things that have accelerated during the pandemic, like support local, will continue?
Well, I hope so, for a bunch of reasons, not least of which is really small businesses are one of the key drivers of economic growth and employment growth in our economy. So it's a good thing to support small businesses, and it's an important thing as well to help our economy. And you're right that it's been challenging times. I would say I'm a commercial banker, a business banker by profession. So I work with business owners each and every day, and I'm married to a business owner as well. These are very positive, resilient, and adaptable people generally. And so, yes, tough times. However, better days are ahead for most. It's going to take a while to digest the pandemic here as we step out and start to scale up again and return to a new normal.
Yeah.
I think there's still lots of opportunities ahead too. And that's probably what we're picking up here. The entrepreneurial spirit is still alive and well in Canada and Alberta as well.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times opportunities, and they always do say that, especially in crises and in challenging times, there's always opportunities, right? What does it take from an entrepreneur standpoint to seize those opportunities? What do they need to do?
Yeah, that I think my observation would be they just take the first step, which is sketching out their plans, doing research. There's lots of tools and resources out there. We have a great one at RBC, the RBC Small Business Navigator, tons of resources in there on our website to help you think this through. And then they kind of take the plunge and get started up. Again, that's easier to do than you might think. There's a great resource called Owner that allows you to start a business and get going, in a very short period of time, really quickly and cost effectively. So, it's really just thinking it through and then taking action and acting, and then you just go from there.
Don, is there anything else from the survey that, from the results that struck you that was quite interesting?
Well, a bunch of things, I guess. What are some things that it's important for, I guess, entrepreneurs starting out or even existing business owners to do and focus on in the months ahead? The first is, if you haven't already, you need to invest and develop your e-commerce platform, because very clearly there's been a change in, or an acceleration of consumer behavior and buying patterns there. I think the importance of what we talked about earlier, strong relationships in local communities. For most small businesses, that's really important. And there's a real willing audience there. People, I think, want to buy local and support local, and I think that will stay. I think that has staying power. And I think for sure too, what we've seen from our business clients is a degree of financial flexibility. Don't get overextended. Just be prudent, manage efficiently and effectively. So that you've always got a degree of financial flexibility, and talk to people, maintain a good network, and make sure you're always staying on top of new ideas and everything. We love talking to business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. So if you want to talk to someone, come and talk to us at RBC. We'd love to have the conversation and see how we can help you out.
Okay, one last thing I wanted to ask you, Don, about is, not to downplay things, and there has been a lot of business closures throughout Canada in the past 12 months or so, restaurants in particular, retailers, et cetera. But it doesn't seem to me that the expected or anticipated, say, apocalypse of in the small business, and again, not to downplay it because there have been a lot, but that apocalyptic perspective on small business in Canada didn't really materialize to the extent that I think many people may have expected. Would you agree to that?
I think so, and as you said, like we can't and shouldn't downplay some of the real problems that business owners had, and there were some closures for sure. I think it is true that the business sector and the small business sector proved incredibly resilient for a bunch of different reasons. I think entrepreneurial creativity and adaptability. I think support from communities and the bank relief programs that were in place and the government support programs that were in place. And probably just as they've been able to survive through some of these programs, now things are starting to open up again, and they've kind of figured out how to make a go of it with brighter days on the horizon.
I can't imagine what it would have been like for small businesses if those government programs weren't in place.
It for sure helped bridge a gap for a bunch of them, and in the early days of the pandemic, our team spent a lot of time proactively outreaching all of our clients, just to talk about all the different ways that we could help them, and I think that probably dulled some of the immediate impact anyway.
Yeah, I lied. I have one more question.
Sure.
So I'm just curious, like, obviously, touch wood, we seem to have turned the corner here. Everywhere places are opening up, more so throughout every province. Vaccinations are up and rising. The numbers of COVID cases are on the downturn. So things are looking optimistic as we head into the summer and into the fall. The other thing, of course, is the fact that there's a lot of money out there that people have saved in this time period, right? So, without being able to go out to restaurants and bars, without traveling, etc. So in terms of the pent-up demand for consumers, that's got to bode well for small businesses in Canada, don't you think?
I would think so. Yeah, that's that wasn't really touched on in our survey, but you certainly read a lot about the pent up savings, and I think the real desires that people have to to get out and get back to some of the things that they really loved and enjoyed. So I think the trick is figuring out what that is that they will go and spend their money on. But there's probably great opportunities out there in the months ahead for small and medium sized businesses for sure.
All right, super. Well, thanks very much, Don, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mario. It's been great.
Okay, that's super. That's Don Ludlow, who is Vice President of Small Business, Partnerships and Strategy with RBC. This has been Business Insider with Mario Toneguzzi on YYC Business. Thanks for joining us today.